This, guys. What we're going to do is we're going to see how far I can get in 30 minutes with a basic prototype. The only thing I've done to kind of cheat as such is I've got a script here for basic movement. I mean, really basic. All it does, as you can see here, is it looks for a character controller, and then on the update it will get the horizontal and vertical axis and move whatever object this script is attached to. So I can use like the WASD keys or the arrow keys. And if you press space, which is mapped to the jump key in the actual project settings, then whatever the object is should in theory jump of some kind or just float. Right, to speed things up then, what we're going to do is we're going to load in a package that I've got from my assets. And we're going to grab the fantasy package because it has some really cool stuff in there, basically. Fantasy adventure environment I've got. It's got a cool shader, it's got some nice textures for the actual terrain, and it's got a few models like some trees and things like that, and a couple of shaders as well. Now, one of the reasons that I wanted to use this as well is it lends its ear to a good way for us to work in general. Let's imagine that the art department have designed 4 trees, applied a texture to them, 4 or 5 rocks, and done the same using whatever, Blender or Maya or whatever you want. And then they've given them to the level designers to be used and implemented in the game. Now, there's a scene on here that we can open and we can use for reference, so we can have a look at the assets. It's almost like a toolbox. I don't know why it's taking so long to import this time. There we go, we are in. So empty scene look, but we now got this folder here, and inside here there's a bunch of prefabs, and there's also a demo scene. And if I show you the assets overview demo scene, this is, I'll just knock down the lighting, a bit too bright. There we go, so we can see stuff. It's just because this plane's not got any texture. But you can see, look, there's all the assets laid out. There's a couple of objects here. Now, when we're on the terrain, if it works right, we can add these to a paintbrush and just paint them onto the terrain. A lot of the time they kind of float at weird angles when you do that though, so it might be a case just for the demo for now, just actually dragging them out. So a bunch of trees and a bunch of rocks up here. Nothing too spectacular about them, they're just simple meshes, but they do have, if I expand this, levels of detail, LODs, and they've got this LOD group attached, so the further away the camera, it will blend from version 1 into version 2 there, and then eventually become culled and disappear. So we can have a load of these objects on, and they're kind of optimized for the scene. If we look at them, you can click here and switch between the different models to see how they'll look. And depending how you want to work, for ease, maybe we want to create a folder for prefabs and just pick and choose a few and drag them down so that we can just drag them back up onto a scene. Or we can look at how these guys have laid it out. They've got the objects, the trees, the vegetation laid out separately. So I think for now, I'm just going to leave it in this kind of this structure. Don't know what that is flying in the sky. Oh, it's a wind. Cool. And you're just a light. Fair enough. So this is a good workflow for us to kind of work by. We can drag things in, and then the art department can work with the level designers and just keep adding items to this, and the devs can just load this scene up, and provided it's synchronized across the network so everyone's got the same ones, then the new assets will become available to streamline the process for us to be working on stuff. That way we can also drag them into the scene and see if there's any issues with either performance or scale and things like that. Right, enough blabbering, let's get to the doing. If I switch back to my scene, there we go. first things first, let's grab a terrain. Now there's lots of different ways of doing terrains. There's a big flat terrain, look. Now, there's lots of different ways of doing it. I'm just going to work on a small terrain for now. So nice and small, 250. And one of the things that people like to do is raise the terrain slightly, so that we can actually dig down as well. Because if I just, for example, set the height of something, or raise the terrain, sorry, here we go. Let's grab this brush. Now on the settings, the maximum terrain height is 600 by default. On the brush, if I then draw on the terrain, there we go, look. Change the opacity so it's not as heavy-handed. Eventually it will hit a ceiling. There we go. And we can go up using the different brush styles. But we can't go down. If you press shift, then you should be able to go down. Now I can flatten it down. Like that. And that will reset everything back to what it was by flattening it. And what I'm going to actually do is temporarily, I'm going to set the terrain height to be about 50. And then I'm going to paint on the terrain. Oh, hang on a minute, doing it wrong. Sorry. Undo, undo, undo. Big undo. Get off. Right. So that's gone. Right, I can raise the terrain. I can set the height. Sorry, there we go. So I'm going to set the height to, say, 50. I'll put that terrain back to 600. There we go. So I'm setting the height now. In fact, we'll go to 100. And now, what the? Okay, it's doing what I want, but it's doing it wrong. So maybe I'm going too high. Let's go for 5. Yeah, that'll do for now. What I've actually done there, you see, is I've artificially raised the terrain. And I'll show you why in a second. So artificially raising the terrain. This is just one way of doing it. But now I can actually hold shift and I can knock it down as well. Like that, you see. So let's switch back to the other brush and I'll give you... Yeah, that ledge will actually work out for what I want to do. I'm going to add a plane as well. There we go. Make you nice and big because you are going to be the water. And I'm going to set you down to 0. Let's make it huge. There we go. And I'll just rag it over here for now. I can move the terrain to the water to the terrain. It doesn't really matter either way. But you can see that there's a bit of a crossover there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to higher this up now to about here. And I'm going to apply a shader to, well, a material in fact in this particular case, to this plane. And we do have a water material that is part of this somewhere. So they've got a shader, look there. But if I go for the materials, effects maybe? Water, there we go. So they've got a water shader here. And you can change the colour and the rim colour, which is the edge. And then they've just got a couple of normal maps here. Now if I drag that out and plonk it on, there we go, look, we have water. And there's the rim that is from this colour here. And you can screw around with it. You can make the you can make it more or less transparent. And we can change the colour to be more of like a greeny colour if we want, or whatever we want really. In fact, let's make it a little bit more turquoise. There we go. That's a bit more, a bit more like what I'm after, basically. Let's take it up a bit more as well to here, and that way now we've raised the terrain. We can actually cut through it if we want. So let's grab a hold of a smaller version of this brush, and instead of hiring the terrain, I can hold shift and we can bring that water through like this, like kind of like a river. So it's just a case of playing around with it and seeing what we want to do. Some kind of lagoony thing there, look. And we'll just mix it up. Let's just cut this corner out. A little bit of an islandy kind of feel to it. Not like that. Okay, smooth the height. Just change the brush size. And what this will do is it'll blend the sides together to kind of find a middle ground to make the edge match like that, so it's not as hard on the edges. But we can play with the terrain all day. I'm just showing you kind of different ways of doing it. Other way of doing it, you can use a stamp, a map stamp, and like imprint an actual terrain on here. There we go. We'll just make it a little bit smoother in places. And if we find a bit of a crossover point like this, maybe we could lower the terrain slightly like that. I don't know. Right, next thing, let's plonk some stuff on this thing. So brushes. We're going to paint textures. Now we can add layers, which will ask me for the pre-existing layers, or we can create a layer from scratch, which will, well, you can't see it on the video, but it's popped up with the different normal maps and things like that. Oh shit. There we go. So this asset pack actually comes with some pre-built, so I'm just going to add in the grass first. There we go, which will act as the base layer. If we zoom right down, we should be able to see some texture. There you go, look. So we've got some texture now. Works well with the water. And let's add another layer. Let's go for the sand. Let's also bring in yeah, the rock, and which, oh no, don't crash. Don't crash. No. Stop. Oh, you bitch. Ah, right. Here's where I find out if it's saved at all. Which I seriously doubt. Welcome to real world development. The joy feelings of Unity dev. Fantastic, there's nothing there. Right, now you'll really see speed. Here we go. I'll cut the talking for a second, or the explaining even, and I'll just do. There we go. Right, let's raise the height slightly. Set the height to be, well, let's go for 4 this time. Nice big brush. Boosh. That's up. Let's add a plane. Let's get you to the deck. Scale it up. Bring you across. There we go. You see, it's almost like I meant to do this so that we could run through the process again. Obviously. Materials. Effects. Water. Bang. There we go. Let's cut into the terrain now. Bring a brush. Let's lower the terrain. How big are you? Not that big. A little bit softer. Let's cut into here. Some kind of lakey, watery thing. Bit of an edge. See, change the width and make a little bit of a stream. Make it bigger. Get rid of a nice hefty chunk. There we go. I might actually, this is a bad idea, but I might actually just lower the terrain slightly. There we go. It's a bad idea because it messes with the placement of objects. but it's only a demo, so it doesn't really matter. Right, the terrain itself, let's smoothen. Now let's get rid of a few of these edges, these sharp edges. As much as I can anyway. Let's increase the strength of the brush. There we go, that'll force it a bit more now. Okay, we're more or less back where we were. Let's make some kind of mountainy, terrainy thing. First of all, I'm going to put like a boundary around the edge. Stop the user from kind of running away. For this mini demo anyway. Okay. I've got an idea. So I've made this steep. Let's make this like a waterfall. Yeah, that'll do. I have a waterfall here. Don't know how it'll look, but there you go. Right, let's save it. There we go, saved. So if it crashes again, which it won't do now that I've saved it, only crashes when you haven't saved it. Let's paint the texture. Let's bring in these layers. Start with the base one again, which is the grass. Then we're going to add sand. We're also going to add rock. And we're also going to add maybe forest or dirt. Let's go for a little bit of dirt. And forest birch, why not? So we've got these different brushes now. These are just materials with normal maps, and in this particular case there's a mask as well. So from an art perspective, you've simply just got a PNG look, and it's nothing too spectacular. It's just a texture, but it is kind of optimized. I mean, this one is 512 by 512. And it's 314k. If I wanted to, I could force it not to go higher than that, which will probably lower this on the actual settings. But now we've got a few different ones. I can grab the sand, for example. And let's have a look. You can mess with the tiling if we want. Brush size is too big. Let's add a little bit of sand. Did I click on sand or dirt? Yeah, sand. Ah, it's the lighting that's out, that's all. Brush size far too small. So under the sea as well, look, under here. Bit of sand. I mean, don't grief me too much. I know that this is like rushing it to hell. That entire thing can be sand, screw it. Just painting and scribbling around, guys. And obviously this would need to be smoother, lowered down. I'd actually use a mask, to be honest. I'd probably use Gaia realistically rather than doing it this way. I don't think the user's really going to see this, but we'll paint over here too. There we go. Little bit of a couple of dabs of sand on here just to mix the texture up. Let's bring in a little bit of a different texture. Don't worry about it looking a bit fugly at the minute, because when you're up close it won't look as bad, apart from this bit which I've screwed up. You see my point anyway. It's just a case of lots of doodling to make it look right. Then we've got these funky ass assets. So we've got some prefabs here. We've got some nice trees. So we can throw in a couple of trees, just drag and drop straight in, look. There we go. Let's stick one on the island. And let's lower this island a tiny bit in the middle. like that. And then if I grab my tree, I can put the tree in the water. There you go, something a bit different. Drag out some of you. Look, so really easy. Just prototyping a level, sticking things on, seeing how the assets look together. I don't know if the terrain will allow me to put these objects on. Let's see. Edit trees, add tree. Sorry guys, I didn't realise that was off OBS. There we go. It wasn't off OBS until it bloody crashed. So here we go. Let's grab this tree for example and add this in. Now I should be able to paint the game object onto here. There you go, look. So now we can paint instead of manually placing stuff. It's a bit dense. Can lower the density like that. Most of you guys know about this. I'm explaining it in over the top, like simplicity, just for people that don't really know what I'm doing, who aren't from a level design point of view. Let's say, and it works the same with the grass and things like that. I can mass place trees if I want. The foliage and things. Let's have a look. Paint details. What's this? New brush. No, it's not going to work. So let's just grab a bit of vegetation from here. Let's say, for argument's sake, that the character starts about here on the game, right? So I can just drag a few of these out. Yeah, it'd definitely be easier to make a brush with these, but we're just seeing how it works. Considering I've got 30 minutes to do the entire thing. There we go. More flowers. I've not even grouped anything on here. It's a bit of a mess. But I'm just seeing how it actually looks. Now let's sort the lighting out. Where's the directional light? There we go. We haven't got any lighting settings yet. Change the skybox for the nicer skybox. There we go. So we've got a nicer skybox. Let's generate the lighting. Let's see if anything improves. So the tree should look a bit nicer. And I need to increase... Oh, there we go. Looking better, looking better. Ah, you see, the sand has completely changed everything now. There we go. Should we get some nice lily pads in the water? There we go. Look, it's not too bad. Considering the speed I'm building this thing without even considering anything. Don't know why they're there. They've just decided to jump out. I just want a few things on the terrain as we look around. So the water... Yep. I'm not waiting 22 minutes. For some reason it's taking ages. CPU, right, let's use the graphics card. Stop. How long we got? I don't even know. 6 minutes. And the point is, if we had some assets, come on, realistically it would take longer than half an hour. There we go, look, the lighting's coming through now. Let's create new lighting settings, use the GPU instead. And we could mess with all this. We've not even got any post-processing on here. There we go, this is looking nice, look. Let it just generate for a second. And then we'll throw in a character. While it's generating the lights, I'm going to look for the waterfall. What is that one? The waterfall asset. Well, you don't look like a prefab. So let's see. Right, a couple of branches, there you go. Effects. Yeah, falling leaves, why not? Falling leaves. So these are just particle systems. Wrong colour leaves. Let's put them over here. Let's put some fireflies in. There we go, let's raise you up a little bit. Duplicate it so we've got a bunch. You can kind of look through them. We'll do some falling leaves over here. Maybe we can add a wind zone. Don't know how strong the wind zone's going to be. Not too strong, hopefully. Right. What else we got? Snow, fog, sun shafts. Cool. So lots of little effects. Obviously these would all be assets that we get to play with. There, look, you can see it, look. Could see it for a second anyway. There, look, you see these rays? I don't know if you can see that on the actual... see it on the video, on the quality, it depends. Wind trails. What are you doing? Ooh, why have you gone over there? Come back over here. Ooh, swishy swish. Sweet. Some more falling leaves maybe here. There we go. Something over here. Just rush in like hell. Right, character-wise, let's stick a character in the scene and see how it actually looks. Oh wait, did we have a waterfall? Come on, surely we've got a waterfall. What are you doing? I don't know why I can't open that one. There's the waterfall. I can't remember how they do it. Let's just quickly rotate this waterfall. Stick it in there. Ooh, not bad, not bad. That doesn't look right. That looks better. We could do with a few rocks. How long? Oh no, we got 1 minute. Come on, we've got to do this in a minute. Rocks. We've not even put any rocks down yet. Shit. There we go. Let's have a giant, massive rock. There we go. You can kind of sit over there. Hide in the side. Same thing. We'll put you here where there can be one in the water that we can actually use to skip across on. In theory. A couple of clusters of rocks on the edge. And down here. Embedded into the ground. The side looks terrible because we've not pasted any trees on there, so let's make it a cliff instead that you can't see past. How's that sound? Suddenly it doesn't matter that you can't see because there's a cliff. There we go. Right, let's plonk. This is looking alright, look. Let's plonk Unity Chan in. So if I go to my package manager. That's 30 minutes. Right, so not bad. Let's grab Unity Chan. This is just Unity's anime model that they've got as a default kind of character. Comes with a ton of animations and stuff. But she doesn't have a character controller. So I've got the movement script, like I said, so I can move her around, but the animations aren't really going to work properly. She's just going to kind of glide across the floor. But I'll show you a couple of animations if you want, just so you can see. We'll drop one of the prefabs on the scene and put the camera on her. And then you will you'll be able to have seen my Genshin Impact 30-minute mock-up. We just need the characters then. But the point is of all this is really rapid prototyping stuff, and obviously I'm not putting that much thought into the level design and the look. If anything, it's more than normal because they've got textures and stuff on this particular pack. But you could imagine that we had a bunch of assets like this and we just swap them out. So we can actually see how things work. We can drop a building in. We can drop a bunch of rocks and trees in. And spend more than 5 minutes doing the actual level design to make it look nice and feel right. And then we throw in a character that fits with the environment for the art style that we're looking for. And it could just be a simple cube that runs around, to be fair. But I'm going to drop this one in just so that you get more of an impact. This is a character that's already got textures and things. There we go. Unity Chan is here. Oh no! What's wrong with her? Oh, she looks alright here. She's just pink there for some reason. There she is, look! She's a bit small. Let's make her 1.5. And let's spin around. Whoop! And there is Unity Chan, look. Which I can't seem to get the camera to look at her right. There we go. Now, I don't think this particular model has got the animations applied, has she? I can't tell. Ah, shit. It would help if the camera was looking at her. So, where's the camera? There it is. Right. Main camera. I'm going to align the main camera with the view. Stop moving so much. Align with you. Right there, the camera is looking at her, which is cool. Save again. And here we go. And there she is, look. So we've got the leaves falling in the background. We've got a little bit of here we go. Ba, 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 ba. She can do different things. If we click on the buttons, different facial expressions and messing with the eyes. We can make her ashamed, surprised. Don't know what these do. I can zoom in a little bit as well. There we go. If I may move the camera here now. Press play again. There you go. Bye-bye. Cool. So it's hopefully painting kind of a picture in your mind's eye with what we can do. What I'm going to do next, I haven't got time to import Cinemachine for a full third-person camera, orbit camera, because I'm doing this on my lunch break. But if I swap her around like that, and let's create another object, same place, there we go. Now this is going to look bad, guys. It's not what would be happening. Just for argument's sake. I'm going to put the object inside her and reset her to 0. Then I'm going to take it back out and I'm going to make that the parent. And this can be the controller. And then I'm going to attach my move script that I've got here. That will simply grab whatever game object it's attached to, and using the keyboard I should be able to make a glide around the floor. In theory. No, what's wrong? Oh god, hello. Ah, there's no character controller. That's because I'm stupid. There we go. And we could probably do with a rigid body as well, but let's see if it works first. Let's move the centre of the capsule up. I'll shrink it down a bit. I ought to make her bigger actually. There you go. Let's see if it works now. Yay! That is very random. When you press jump, it's playing an animation. Or it's cycling through the animations. I forgot it did that. There you go. So you can see all the different poses that she does. Right. Now, what I'm going to do is quickly scoot around. So, like I said, very, very bad idea this, but we're going to do it anyway. We are going to rotate the character a little bit. Then we're going to parent. This is really bad. We're going to parent the camera to the game object and move the camera back. So basically, when the game object moves, it should drag the camera around with it. It's bad because it'll look like shit. But I just want to see if we can take a little bit of a tour around. We've not got any audio, no ambient sound or anything. But there we go. So, far too slow. Let me just speed this up a little bit. Movement. I'm just going to bump the speed up just so we can have a quick tour of this magical island that I've done. Player speed. Let's make it a bit faster. Oh, nearly time to finish. Okay, she's a bit faster. I don't know what's going on with the... it won't let me do it. It sucks. It's not working properly. But there you go. We've been badly around our little island to nowhere. She won't stop moving now. Fantastic. The joy of dev. Well, we'll get someone else to do the damn controller. But there you go, look. So we've got some assets loaded in, a little prototype level. At least we can see things like scale, if the art style works well together, that kind of stuff. And a few funky particle systems. To the devs who don't know how to do that, the only trick is really, instead of having normal particle systems floating down, you just swap the sprite instead of using the default particle, basically, and then just get it to loop. A funky shader for the water. We could do with some spray action. We could do with some audio, some wind for the trees. Don't quite know why that's not working yet. And obviously we could do some post-processing effects, bring out the bloom, make everything shine more. All that kind of funky stuff. But yeah, there you go. Very quickly, not fantastically, but very quickly done. And we have a little scene with a character dropped in. Yeah, she can move, but she doesn't do much else. And a bunch of assets. And a couple of tricks with the terrain and the lighting and stuff. So yeah, not impossible to do an absolute rough as hell, but prototype in what, 30 something minutes. Right, I'm going to stop the video, guys, and there you go.